Hello, welcome to a new video. In today's video, I am going to take you on a horseback riding trip in Songpang, Sichuan province here in China, as you can probably see from the title. I'm not going to make this introduction too long, we're going to dive straight into the video. We just had breakfast, and then after breakfast the driver picked us up to drop us off at the departure point. And here are the horses.
Oh my god.
I've been wanting to do this trip for a very long time, actually. When I first came to China and decided that I was going to teach here for a semester and then travel a little bit, I thought that I wanted to go on this trip throughout maybe Chinese New Year, which was actually a great idea, but that's another story. But I never really got to it, and even the years after I decided to stay in China for a longer time, I never went on this trip. Until that summer that I was scrolling through my phone on WeChat. You might recognize it, just mindlessly scrolling. And then I saw this article that said, hey, go on this trip with us, come to Songpan, do some horseback riding for 3 days and 2 nights, and then come visit Huanglong with us and Zhouzhaigo. And I just got excited and decided, let's do this. This is a great opportunity. So Miguel and I decided to sign up and go for it.
How's it going, Yvonne?
I'm doing okay. How are you doing there in the back, Miguel? Still alive? Once we got on the horses, we just left the little town, and as we were exiting, Miguel and I were joking whether we were going to go straight up this path that we were seeing on our right hands, and you guessed it, we actually did go up that path, and we were quite surprised because it was very steep and narrow, and both of us started to get a little nervous already. So all was going well, and we were enjoying ourselves and being relaxed and enjoying the scenery until this happened. Well, we're like what? Maybe an hour and a half in, and guess who already fell off her horse? I got scared. We were walking there and it was like plastic and it was shiny and colorful, and the horse stepped on it. It jumped and it got me off guard, so down I went. Like I won't put my pants down, but it's going to be really red and blue. But you gotta keep going. We're back on the horses. I fell off once. My horse got startled and I didn't make it. So I gotta be extra careful. But it is really pretty here. I want to share a little side note with you, because every time I get on a horse here in China, it seems that something goes wrong. A long time ago, I went to the Baishan grasslands, not too far away from Beijing, and I decided to go on a horseback riding trip, and that didn't go so well. Also fell off the horse took off, and I was standing there like, okay, now what? And then when I went on a road trip from Xi'an all the way to Urumqi, I also did a little bit of riding, and that horse was also quite stubborn. So yeah, in hindsight, thinking back, I should have known that maybe another horseback riding trip wasn't going to be the best idea. How are we doing, Miguel? We're alive.
Look at it, it's like straight up.
Yeah.
Just going up the mountain.
Straight up there.
It's wild.
It is wild.
This is more like intermediate to advanced,
Yeah,
not
you
beginners.
you have to have some experience. I'll show you the front.
We're surviving.
But that's all. Barely though. Look at it. Yeah, let me explain this a little bit more. So when I came across the article sharing that, hey, we are this tour organization and we are offering this trip, the way they wrote it wasn't a very positive way, of course, because they want to sell it, but it was also in a way that made it sound that this trip was going to be super easy and that everybody could actually enjoy it. It was going to be suitable for beginner riders, which was good because Miguel isn't very experienced, so it would be good for him. I have some experience. I used to ride a lot when I was younger in the Netherlands. So they were describing it as a family trip, and they even added photos to the article where parents were sitting on the horse with a little child in front of them. So that really made me think, hey, this is something that we can do easily. But it turned out that it really wasn't that easy.
We have made it to the top of the mountain, and it's hard work to get there because it's narrow and rocky and yeah, all kinds of things. But the view, guys, look at that, this is gorgeous. But we're high up. It's like we had to walk a little bit because we couldn't go keep sitting on the horses because it was too there was a roadblock. A tree fell down, so we had to get off and we had to hike a little bit. I was out of breath, and even now I can feel it just talking. I'm short breath, but it's gorgeous here.
Yes, here I wasn't only short breath because of the hiking on the mountains and because I was a bit out of shape maybe, but also because Songpang is on a pretty high altitude. It's about 2,800 meters high, so of course there's going to be a little bit less oxygen in the air, which made it a lot harder to climb up those mountains.
We can't go downhill on the horses because it's very steep, straight downhill. We've lost sight of them too, so we have to walk. But look at this, it's barely a path. It's pretty though. Made it down the hill. That was quite the walk. Look, I had another tumble. Did not get hurt. 2 tumbles so far, or 3? One of the horse having 2 tumbles. But look at this field, all the flowers.
After we came down the mountain, I thought that we were probably going to arrive soon at the place where we were going to set up camp for the day, for the rest of the day and the night. But that was actually not the case. We still had to hike and hike quite a bit. Luckily not over mountains anymore, but it was still quite a while, I'd say. And that is when I started to realize that going on this trip was probably not the best idea, and that I had really underestimated this trip as well as my abilities of doing all of this.
How's it feeling?
I'm too old for this.
Go over there.
Yes. I'm too old for this. It's really gorgeous though. It's worth it, I would say, but I think we came all over the hill there in the back. So we got up with the horses. And then we had to walk down a very muddy path, I can't even speak, slippery, and the guides were just taken up, and we were like, anybody here still? See and hear the little river behind me. I had to jump over it a couple of times, of course, I got wet feet, but it's all part of the adventure. The guides say 2 minutes. They took the horses, he said a 2-minute walk. I'm not sure about that. Might be a little bit longer, but it's all good. Still alive.
When we finally made it to the campsite where we were going to spend the night, we had some lunch, relaxed a little bit, and set up our tent for the night. And then I was actually put to work. I say work, but it was actually quite fun and interesting because I had never seen this before. The way that the guides that were with us had replaced the shoes of the horses. I'd seen it in the traditional way when I was growing up, but I had never seen it this way, so that was a unique experience.
Our poor horse.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with his shoe. So Yvonne's got to keep the flies away.
This is the little tent. Miguel and I would say slept in, but I don't think we really slept. And this is what it looks like in the morning. The horses are still out. Sun's going out. And I can see my breath. So it's pretty chilly.
After a short and somewhat cold night, because we were in the mountains after all and it cools off quite a bit, We woke up, broke up the tent, had a simple breakfast, and yeah, continued our trip and our journey.
It's time to go again. So trying to get the horses back to put the saddles back on. It is day 2. We've been going for half hour. We just came through the forest. It was pretty steep, but pretty, and now we're back in the meadow where we were yesterday. Now, I think we've made it to the foot of the mountain. We're back in the valley. Like, I see some of the horses hanging out there, and the guides are there. Oh boy. The guide is chopping all the branches away, so it's going to be easier for horses to go by. But it is quite the hike. Like, we walked all the way from the mountain up here.
We got back on the horses, and again, it wasn't really what we expected. I expected the second day to also go through the forest where we could really enjoy nature, see lots of trees, have beautiful views over the mountains. But it turned out that we went back to a main road where we had been on earlier, and that we had to follow that road for kilometers on end, it felt like, and we were going over that road for a good 2 to 3 hours with the sun beating on us.
Still riding on the road. Mine set up off to the lake, I think. It's pretty warm now, but it's still really beautiful right between the mountains. We're still going. I think we've gone for about an hour now on this road. Yeah, I think it was like 6 kilometers or 8 kilometers that we have to go to get the lake. So it's a little bit of a walk, right? But we're slowly getting there. Well, we arrived at our campsite, I guess. I'm sitting on the hill trying to find some shade, but it was like a 2-hour walk on the road, cars passing by, and now we ended up here where there's no shade at all, and we had to buy water on the way, and it's a little ridiculous. So that there is where they're making a fire, where they drop down all of our stuff. That's where they're gonna make lunch, and the rest of the area there's no shade at all.
Then we tried to go to Dao Hai Lake, which was one of the lakes that was mentioned in the advertisement of the trip.
That is our Dao Hai, the lake we were supposed to go see. But what's the problem?
Oh, foreigners aren't allowed all of a sudden.
So we walked here all the way for nothing, and together with the other people who were on our track, we just, like, what is the word, consensuously decided to call it quits.
Yes.
We're just gonna have the driver come pick us up. We're gonna go.
Was,
Yeah, and this is enough.
it's enough.
Enough.
We've had enough.
Basta.
2 days.
Yeah. So we're gonna go back to Songpan now.
Hopefully we can get a hotel for tonight and then
Tomorrow I'll spend the day in the town.
spend the day in the town. We'll show you what that looks
Yeah,
like.
but this was the adventure called horseback riding.
As you can see, this trip really wasn't what I had hoped for or what I had expected. Even for me, and I consider myself somewhat of an experienced rider when it comes to riding horses, this was a lot more challenging than I had anticipated. And it was difficult for Miguel. And then the family that we were with, they had 2 children. It was really hard for them too. And one of the kids fell off once at least. So yeah, this is really not what we expected. But after all, and now looking back at it, I'm still glad that we did it because it was quite the adventure. Yeah, we can laugh about it now, even looking back at the clips. It's quite a funny story. And luckily, after this part of the trip, the rest of the adventure got much better because we did go to Huanglong and we did go to Zhoujiago, which were absolutely beautiful. I love seeing that. So the only thing I want to say, if you want to see those vlogs, those videos, make sure to subscribe so you will not miss them. And if you want to see more of me on a horse, you can watch this story and you probably will get a laugh out of it. I want to thank you for watching the video all the way to the end. If you did so, make sure to give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. And I hope to see you in the next one.